Most of the really good sales books out there today will tell you that you have to sell to the CEO. And I've read all those books and I thought to myself, okay, great. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to the CEO. I'm going to get an appointment. I'm going to go in his office and I'm going to sell to him. Well, weeks and weeks and weeks went by, and guess what I couldn't do? I couldn't get an appointment. I couldn't get in to see the CEO. So how on earth am I supposed to sell to the CEO when I can't even get my foot in the door? Well, if you've got that question and you want to learn how to sell to the CEO, you're in the right place. You got to join me for this episode of the Inside BS Show. Hi, I'm Dave Lorenzo, and here are 5 strategies for how to sell to the CEO. Strategy number 1, you got to get walked in. So if you're developing your list for who to sell to, you should focus on where you have the strongest relationships. I know you want to sell to the biggest companies in your industry. When I worked for the Gallup organization, my whole goal was to get in to see the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, right? And I made my list. I had Pfizer and IBM and all sorts of really big brand name blue chip stock companies, Fortune 100 companies on my list. And then I looked at the list and I had all the names of the CEOs written down, and I would listen to the analyst calls where the CEO would speak. I would watch the CEOs interviewed on CNBC and all the Bloomberg Business Interview channel and all of these really important forms of media. And I would say to myself, I know exactly what I'm going to say if I get in front of this person. I know exactly what I'm going to say if I get in front of that person. Yet cracking that code was impossible until I met someone in graduate school. And I went to graduate school later on in life. I went to graduate school while I was at the Gallup organization. I met someone at graduate school who worked for a company and actually knew the CEO of that company. I got to know this person and I discovered what that company's challenges were. And then I went to my friend and I said, you know, I heard your CEO on Bloomberg talking about these 3 things, and I think I have a solution for 2 of the 3 problems that he mentioned. And here's my ideas. Do you think you could connect me with the CEO? Do you think this person would like to hear some ideas? And the person surprisingly said to me, Dave, you know, I'm shocked to hear you say that. He's very open to taking meetings with people. Would you consider coming in and having a conversation with him? I said, sure, you bet. Of course I would. I got walked into the CEO's office and the rest is history. So being walked in or getting a referral or an introduction from someone, that's the best way to meet a CEO in order to sell to him or her. Now you're thinking to yourself, okay, Dave, I don't know anybody who knows CEOs of Fortune 100 companies, but here's who you do know. Go into LinkedIn right now and see who you're connected to and who they're connected to. And you'll notice that some of the people that you're connected to on LinkedIn are connected to mid-market or small business CEOs. Why not find out what those people's problems are, get an introduction, and walk in and sell to those CEOs? It's better for you to sell person to person in a B2B environment to a mid-market CEO than for you to go into a Fortune 100 company and sell to someone at the bottom of the ladder. Your focus on the ultimate decision maker is critical. Remember, in order for someone who is going to work with you to be qualified, they have to have a problem you can solve, they have to have the ability to make a decision, and they have to have the financial wherewithal to be able to afford you, and then finally they have to have urgency. The CEO has all of those. The lower person on the ladder may not have those. So it's better for you to get walked into a CEO's office of a mid-market company than for you to try to get into a huge company at the lower levels. The second strategy for being invited in to meet with the CEO is for you to be an expert. So you can go to industry associations and look for who the members of those industry associations are and volunteer to speak as often as possible to people in those industry associations. One of the things that I do, because I work with people in professional services, is I look for associations of professional service providers. And I offer to speak to professional service associations where senior executives of large professional firms are on the board. The reason I do that is because if I'm speaking to senior executives of professional associations, I can easily connect with the CEO at one of those events, or my presentation, especially if it's videoed, will get passed on to CEOs, or I can take my own video and then send it to the CEO of those professional associations knowing they're a member. So being an expert and doing presentations at industry trade associations will also get me invited in to meet with the CEO. The third strategy for selling to the CEO is what's called an Ascension model. You can do work at mid-levels of large organizations and then find out what's important to the CEO and ask for a meeting with the CEO to discuss your solution. If there's enough pain in the organization and if the CEO is open to taking meetings from people from the outside, you can a lot of times get meetings that way. In working with Ann Taylor stores over 15 years ago, I did work with the Human Resources Department. And when I worked with the Human Resources Department, we often would be told that the CEO of the company has a specific goal he wants to fulfill by the end of the year. Eventually the CEO became a woman and she had specific goals that she wanted to fulfill by the end of the year. When I knew that I could help that CEO achieve those goals, I would walk into my partner in human resources and I would say, listen, I heard Kay say in an analyst call that she has these 3 goals. I think you and I together should go pitch her on this specific solution. I would make my contact in the organization the hero to take me in to meet with the CEO. So the Ascension strategy works when you and the person within the organization with whom you're working go to the CEO together and pitch your ideas. That's called an Ascension strategy, and that's number 3. Number 4, look for a common interest or common hobbies or ways that you can reach out to the CEO through his or her community. A client of mine who's a financial advisor belongs to a really affluent country club. And his strategy in being a member of the country club is to play with a new foursome every week. So he went to his pro at the country club and he paid the pro to take lessons. And the pro then, as part of him taking lessons, would match him with 3 other players at the same level. And it turns out that he's a pretty good golfer, and so are some of the CEOs of the local companies. And the pro often matches him with CEOs. And because he gives the pro a very good Christmas gift, he can often ask the pro to pair him with people that he wants to do business with. So that common interest of golf is a great point of leverage for him, and he uses it to get in front of CEOs. The 5th strategy to get in front of CPOs, to sell to them, is with persistent professional communication. I take videos that I make for senior executives and I send them to CEOs of my target company. I have no idea whether they watch the videos. I have no idea whether the videos actually get to them. But I do know that sometimes lightning can strike, because I've gotten 3 clients in the last 5 years from people who I've sent these videos to, who will call me and say, I watched your video and then I watched 5 other videos that you had up on YouTube. I'm really impressed with you. Can you come in? Let's have a conversation about what you can do for us. That frequent, persistent, professional communication is a good way to help you feel like you're doing something, and occasionally you can catch lightning in a bottle. But you gotta do it exactly as I outlined. It has to be frequent, which means at least monthly, preferably weekly. It has to be persistent. You can't give up. You're gonna go months, maybe even years without hearing anything, but you should still send the information. And then professional. You gotta look the part. You have to sound like you know what you're talking about. You can't be on a Zoom video with a blurred background. Everything has to look exactly the way the professional would appear when he or she's meeting with the CEO. So these 5 strategies will help you get in to sell to the CEO. Selling to the CEO is unparalleled. It's the best way for you to make your bones in the sales world. If you want more great tips on consultative sales strategies, I want you to watch the video that's filling in right below me right now. This video is how you can leverage your professionalism to connect with high-level buyers and blow the lid off of high-ticket sales. I want to see you in that video right now.